Just now I am working on a list of the good and bad things of the Nikon D600, a camera which I think has a fantastic sensor on it. However, there's something which I just want to bring to everyone's attention, and maybe everyone can give me some advice on this, because there's something which I just cannot figure out on this camera, and that is its settings. And that is its settings between photo mode and video mode and live view off and live view on. So as a professional camera blogger, to find this as confusing as what it is not good for just an average shooter. So let me explain. If I am in taking a photo mode, and let's say I turn, so at the moment we've got 320th of a second f2. I'm in manual mode. If I press info here, so if I press info, we don't get any more information that's already on it. So if I want to change the shutter speed, I can change the shutter speed. However, there is no exposure simulation. All we're getting is a meter reading at the back. On the top, there is no meter reading. There is no meter layout whatsoever. So that's a bit of a bummer not having that. So if we go back here, let's say we go 50th second f2. If I want to change the aperture, cool. I can change the aperture. However, I'm still not getting any idea of what it will actually look like until I take a photo. So I have to actually take a photo at 50th at f2. Cool, that's where I'm fairly happy with. If I then suddenly change it to f8, it'll be a lot darker. Let's see. Yes, vastly darker. So that's absolutely fine. However, it is annoying not having an actual exposure simulation on the back of the screen and only having that. It also means if I turn it off, I'm going to look up here, there's no way for me to tell is that overexposed or underexposed if I'm not using live view. So that is a little bit annoying. However, it gets more complicated. Whenever I then go into video mode, and I turn live view on, now we do have an exposure simulation, as it were. So if I change the shutter speed down to 30th, if I change the ISO up to 250 second, we are getting an exposure simulation. It's showing me how bright it is. If I take a photo just now, however, so 30th at f8, ISO 2400, oh, wait a minute, it's really dark here. What is the information that is done there? It's done a 50th at f8, ISO 400. Hold on, that's not what I just decided on there. And is giving an exposure compensation of a plus 0.3. I didn't have that dialed in. I'm in manual mode. There shouldn't be anything going on here. Hold on. If I look up here, turn live view off, we're at 30th, f8, turn live view off, 50th, f8, ISO 400. ISO 2500. What is going on here? So there's a difference from what I'm getting to see here and what I'm actually taking a photo of straight away. So that's it. Why does it not just change if I change it to photo? If I have it in video mode and I want to take a photo, I want it to be the same exposure as what I'm seeing through the camera. The next thing is I want to change the aperture. So just now it's at f8. I can't change the aperture. That's odd. I can change the shutter speed, that's fine. I can change the ISO, that's fine. Aperture, I can't change, even though in photo mode I can, but yet there's no exposure simulation. Okay, so for me, in video, to change the exposure, let's say, okay, I want it brighter, but I want to keep it at ISO 2000 that I have here. If I want to change the aperture, I have to come out, look up at the top, change the aperture to, let's say, f2.8. There it's saying ISO 400. Okay, then I turn live view back on, but it's back at ISO 2000. No, so I need to change the aperture in a photo setting which isn't related necessarily to the video setting for me to change the aperture in video where I then have different variables. This is the most nonsense camera photo settings I've ever experienced. So, simple question. First of all, why is there no exposure simulation in photo mode, yet there is almost exposure simulation in video mode, apart from you can't change the aperture, but if you want to change the aperture, you have to come out of video mode, which has different settings for photo mode with live view off. Just do not get it. Do not get it. Can anybody explain to me where Nikon thought that this was good firmware?